On Hell's Kitchen, even the most seasoned chefs can find themselves in hot water. Just like this chef, who left the competition because of a huge mistake she made. Ji Hyun Cha faced her worst kitchen nightmare in episode 2 when something unexpected happened.
Are you okay, Ji?
Oh, damn, that looked painful. But you gotta give it to her. Despite the burn, she braved the pain and continued prepping for the service.
Ji, you alright?
However, when it was time to kick off the service, she gathered the courage to spill the beans to Chef Ramsay about her injury. Yet, determined as ever, she insisted on powering through the pain. Fast forward to the dinner service, and Ji was on the garnish station. This got everyone worried, and Paula even checked in on her in the middle of the service. But Ji was doing her best to stay focused on the job. LA was certainly impressed. However, despite her efforts, the red team didn't end up doing as well as they liked that service. And Ji limped all the way to see the medic after everything was said and done, and let me tell you, it was not a pretty sight.
I need to elevate my foot because I hurt it. I need to put it on ice.
Sadly, at that moment, Ji felt like she was dragging the entire team down. But here's the twist, her whole squad had her back.
Ji, you're not going home.
I feel like a burden to you guys.
We're a team, and you are a strong member of this team.
You gotta love to see it. Cut to the lineup, and Ji rolled into the place in a wheelchair to ease the load on her ankle. Given her condition, Chef Ramsay was blown away by everything she had done in spite of it.
Courageous effort on one foot and clearly in a lot of pain. More importantly, you didn't give up. Quite a few in this room this evening would have given up.
Anyway, that aside, the red team had to eventually cough up 2 names for elimination, but guess what? Ji was not on the list. But guess who was? Colleen and Lacey. Honestly, good pick, team. Now, the 2 nominees were nervously waiting for Chef Ramsay's final verdict. But just then, Ji stepped up and dropped a bomb.
Chef? Chef?
Ji?
So it looks like she had already made up her mind.
I'd like to volunteer. I feel that I'm half a manpower in your kitchen, Chef.
Considering how far she had come to even enter this competition in the first place, that was a pretty bold move. She made it clear that she was leaving Hell's Kitchen on her own terms. She was convinced that her injury might hold the team back, despite her teammates arguing that she was way better than the ones up for elimination. And well, there's no denying that claim. However, in a twist nobody saw coming, Chef Ramsay respected her call and let her bow out of the competition. He was genuinely moved by her killer performance and showered her with praise for it.
You, madam, have been phenomenal. Talented girl. Due to the circumstances, it's not fair to continue.
And the cherry on top was that Chef Ramsay told her to hang on to her jacket as a symbol of her courage. Not many chefs out there have been lucky enough to have been given that honor. Anyway, for Ji, it was a mix of emotions as she bid farewell, hoping the red team would crush it. She was clearly bummed about leaving, but deep down, she knew it was the right move given the extent of her injury. Yeah, it was hard to see her dreams take a hit because of an ounce of hot oil. But that's what Hell's Kitchen is all about, you gotta expect the unexpected. But Ji was not the only one who ended up with severe burns. Something actually similar happened in Season 4. I'm talking about Episode 4 when the menu for the night was fresh pasta, barbecue chicken wings, and burgers. And Vanessa in the Red Kitchen was geared up for a stellar service. She was taking charge like never before and ensured that everything ran like clockwork. Chef Ramsay even gave her props for her chowder, lifting the team's spirits and telling them to keep up the good work.
Very good. Nice. Vanessa, the soup's lovely.
Meanwhile, Vanessa was killing it as a leader, handling half of the team's appetizers before moving on to the entrees. But then, trouble struck when Shayna accidentally set the appetizer station on fire. You know, as one does.
Oh my god.
Hey, but don't burn the fucking kitchen down, yeah?
As Vanessa tried to handle the situation, things took a turn for the worse. That's when, just like I mentioned, some hot oil seriously burned her hand. Yeah, oh my god, it was clear Vanessa was in serious pain. She desperately asked Chef Ramsay for some ice, and Roseanne wasted no time in calling for a medic. Vanessa's hand was looking like it had seen better days, and everyone was worried she might break down.
Oh, that's sort of gonna hurt. Jesus Christ.
In fact, things got so real that she had to be rushed to the hospital in an SUV. Yeah, they didn't even want to wait for an ambulance. Her sudden absence naturally had everyone on edge. Shayna was freaking out, not having a clue about what happened to her.
She's gone for a few minutes and she's not coming back. Oh shit, what the hell's going on out there?
But let's be real, some of this was on Shayna. In the meantime, when Christina tried to get the lowdown on Vanessa, nobody had answers. This is when Chef Ramsay stepped in, letting the team know that Vanessa was on her way to the hospital. But he warned them that her absence shouldn't slow them down.
You're one man down. She's on the way to hospital now, okay? If you start slacking now, you're in trouble.
Yup, the show must go on, folks. And then the team rallied against time to finish the service. Now, after Vanessa's brief stint in the hospital, she got a warm welcome when she made it back. But Vanessa had her own doubts. She shared her uncertainty about upcoming treatment with a plastic surgeon and was really concerned about her right hand's mobility.
Right now, I don't know what's gonna happen. Right now, I can't even move my hand.
You know what though? Despite all of her setbacks, she pushed through like a champ. You really gotta give it to her and G for their passion. Anyway, the next morning as the chefs geared up for the next challenge, Vanessa's injury started to slow her down. Things became so unbearable that she started to get frustrated and couldn't hold it together. Shayna, being understanding of her struggle that she created, stepped up to the plate and helped Vanessa out. She helped her with tackling simple tasks like combing her hair. However, Vanessa started to really feel like a burden to the team. She felt like she was letting them down and leading them towards failure.
I feel like a jackass.
But hey, someone needs to set the record straight. If you ask me, I think despite the injury, she was performing better than the rest of the team that night. What do you think? In fact, when Chef Ramsay checked in on Vanessa's burn, she bravely responded that she was doing okay. Later, during the fine dining pizza challenge, despite her injury, Vanessa made it her mission to contribute in the kitchen as much as she could.
As long as I'm in the kitchen, then I'm gonna try to do something.
She was such a fighter, man. But as prep for the dinner service commenced, Vanessa struggled immensely due to her injury.
It's really difficult to not be able to bang out prep with everybody else.
Understandably seeking some guidance, she visited Chef Ramsay's office, expressing the pain of her injury. She was experiencing a lot of distress for not being able to work at her usual capacity.
I like being in the kitchen and not being able to cook the way that I'm used to cooking, and it's killing me.
Now, Chef Ramsay empathetically presented her with a choice to either stay or leave the competition. Despite her determination to not be seen as weak or a quitter, Vanessa ultimately had to make a very tough decision.
If I can't be here 100%, Chef, I don't want to be here.
It was very clear that she didn't want to compromise the competition by not being at her best. Chef Ramsay acknowledged Vanessa's decision with regrets, but respected her choice, bidding her farewell and wishing her luck for the future.
It's unfortunate that Vanessa's burn took her out of the competition. We'll never ever know if she really had what it takes to win Hell's Kitchen.
Vanessa said a heartfelt goodbye to her team, gave them hugs, packed up her things, and walked out the front door. Her departure was marked by a sequence showcasing her coat hanging and burning, symbolizing the end of her journey on the show. Despite facing a challenging journey, Vanessa displayed incredible strength and determination throughout her time on the show. It was definitely a sad end to her journey, but she fought valiantly amidst adversity. It's always tough to see potential go to waste, huh? But this next contestant made the biggest mistake ever when he ended up compromising basic hygiene. What's more, he simply could not stop bragging about his extensive experience.
I've cooked risotto like a billion times. To be honest, it's not that tough.
But guess what? His first attempt turned out to be a watery disaster.
Soup, like liquid. It's so runny, you can't even spot the rice in there.
As chaos reigned in the kitchen, Gaurav Naveen, the risotto expert, tried to redeem himself with a refire, but oh no, it turned out to be way too peppery. And what did he do? Instead of just fixing it, he was making more claims.
I love black pepper in my risotto, just for the records.
I guess he forgot that the dish was for customers and not his personal dinner. Back in the kitchen, both teams were seriously struggling and Chef Ramsay's patience was wearing thin. Meanwhile, all the customers were left with some bread and a bit of fancy tableside entertainment. But then, our risotto expert here pulled off a crazy move. And you won't believe what he did.
We do not stick our fingers in the food, flick it, and then go back inside.
Seriously? How could someone do that? That was just disgusting. Chef Ramsay was grossed out to say the very least. He went off on him, questioning if he had any respect for the poor customers. And then, to make matters worse, Gaurav was then caught on camera sticking out his tongue while Chef Ramsay gave him a piece of his mind. With multiple failed attempts and overcooked lobster and scallops all over the place, Chef Ramsay reached his limit. For his own sake, he ended up kicking the entire blue team out of the kitchen. And yeah, I don't blame him for wanting to keep his blood pressure down. During the deliberation that night, quite expectedly, the risotto genius found himself in the hot seat. But this dude had the nerve to claim that he had all the passion, attitude, and talent to stay in the competition. Now, Chef Ramsay wasn't exactly sharing the same feeling.
You forgot fingers.
Yeah, and that's when Gaurav's time on Hell's Kitchen came to an abrupt end. Now, you have to agree, Gaurav's mistake was revolting, but at least he didn't make a customer throw up right on the spot.
This is ridiculous, so we out.
Know what that sounds like? A total disaster if I've ever heard one. So let's dive right into the chaos. In the third episode of Season 1, the heat was on during the dinner service when Chef Ramsay dropped a bomb on both teams. You know how Hell's Kitchen sometimes calls these big VIPs on board? Well, this time, it was two heavy-hitting critics, Melissa Clark and Kate Crater. The pressure was extremely high, but nobody expected things to hit the roof. So after a heated battle, both the teams brought their appetizers to the judges' table. The red team was up first, and Melissa dug into Jeff Lepoff's lobster spaghetti. Now, you've got to see her reaction. It was pure gold.
I think this is very good. Yeah.
And it wasn't just her expression, it was the taste that blew her away. Now, the other critic, Kate, got to taste Michael Ray's crab risotto, and let me tell you, it didn't go down all that smoothly.
I'm not such a big fan of this one.
So, onto the blue team's moment in the spotlight. Andrew Bonito and Wendy Liu took charge of the appetizer station this time. Wendy decided to go with a lobster spaghetti, but when Melissa took a bite, let's just say the reaction wasn't exactly a standing ovation.
Here you kind of taste like chewy lobster and then tomatoes and it doesn't come together.
The burning question is, could Andrew salvage the situation with his crab risotto? The blue team desperately needed a win to divert the attention from that lackluster spaghetti. But this is how things went down.
You know what, this is a mess. This is not good.
Oh boy, talk about a disaster. What a disappointment. It seemed like Kate was having the toughest day in the kitchen, and none of the dishes managed to win her over despite the chefs giving it their all. But even though the chefs fell short of impressing the critics, they still had a chance to win over the regular customers. I mean, who knows, maybe the average set of taste buds would be a bit more forgiving? But this is where things took a turn.
We can get some assistance.
Ugh. Apologies for the abrupt cut, but watching another second of that customer literally losing it would probably have me joining her. But wait, there's more. When the dish made its way back to the kitchen, Andrew owned up to the mistake. It was excessively salty. Like seriously, why on earth would you send it out then? But here's the kicker, he actually admitted to the salty disaster before Chef Ramsay even asked him to taste it. Makes you wonder if this guy fried his brain cells along with the food, you know? But Chef Ramsay wasn't having any of that nonsense. He shut Andrew down real quick for his cocky attitude, and let me tell you, that moment is forever etched in his memory.
Shut it and do as you're told. Sorry.
I honestly feel really bad for the customers who were subjected to this mess. First, they waited forever for their appetizers, and when they finally arrived, it was straight up disgusting. Talk about a major letdown. And guess what? Our dear friend Andrew had the audacity to claim that his food could never make customers sick. Apparently, that's something that's never happened in his entire career. Until now. But the audacity was about to get real. Instead of just taking responsibility, he ended up arguing with Chef Ramsay.
I'm just trying to do the job right. You're trying to do nothing. My advice to you, just shut your mouth.
Bad move, my friend, bad move. So after 3 hours into the dinner service, everything just went straight to hell. The red team managed to pull off serving 15 entrees to the critics, while the blue team fell behind with just 8. And to add to the chaos, Wendy struggled to heat her sauce, and Chef Ramsay wasn't having any of it.
You've now pushed me to the limit. You shut your mouth. Last chance.
Despite giving her one last chance, the customers were already fed up. It turned out to not only be the worst service on the show, but literally the worst in Chef Ramsay's entire career. The man had no choice but to shut down the whole damn restaurant. God, I really feel bad for the guy, and not to mention all the customers who left with empty stomachs. As expected, the blue team took a hard hit. Before they could even do anything about it, the critics' comment cards labeled them as the night's losers. Andrew and Wendy were nominated for elimination, and when Andrew tried to plead his case, mentioning his clashes with Chef Ramsay, it obviously didn't do him any favors. In the end, Andrew did survive to cook another day, but that doesn't mean he was let off the hook. Chef Ramsay warned him to count his lucky stars. Well, if we want to talk blunders, I definitely need to mention some of the times when chefs started overestimating themselves, all the while being absolutely delusional. And this moment right here is the perfect example of that.
Scott, why are you back here?
I was voted up chef. I don't agree with it. I've had a tough couple services, but I'm a hard worker, obviously you know that.
Not only was he full of pride, but he was also full of shit to boot.
I'm not the worst cook in this team by far. I'm the best cook in this team, the best leader in this team.
I can't take it anymore.
And let me tell you, he was far from being the red team's star player. So let's dive into his performance that got him nominated in the first place. You see, family night turned out to be a disaster for this guy. He was assigned to handle the fish station, and right off the bat, on the first ticket, he seemed totally clueless about the pasta needing redirection to the blue kitchen. Check this out.
Who's cooking the spaghetti?
I don't know, is the spaghetti coming out?
What do you mean I don't know? What do you mean? Why are you discussing together?
But that's not the end of it. Failing to meet Chef Ramsay's timely expectations, he lagged behind on the beef order, misjudging the cooking time by a whopping 4 minutes.
8 minutes, chef.
8 minutes?
8 minutes, just cook.
Chef Ramsay rightfully asked him about the delayed second beef, and what did Scott do? He deflected the blame onto his teammates. Classic move, right? And you have to watch it go down.
You were told one beef all day. Who told you that?
My teammate, chef.
Scott's inability to coordinate and execute crucial tasks, along with his habit of shifting the blame, showcased a serious lack of ownership and accountability.
I'm the best cook in this team, the best leader in this team. I can accomplish
I can't take it anymore.
I mean, is it just me, or does pointing the finger at all of his teammates instead of owning up to his mistakes not sound like the mark of a great leader? And the cockiness does not stop there. His string of mishaps continued as he sent his Wellingtons to the pass, only to once again shift the blame onto his teammates. Could you believe that?
Working with people that don't have a lot of talent or skill in a fine dining restaurant, it's just impossible.
But wait, the trouble really started when Chef Ramsay discovered this.
It's not even cooked. Touch it! Are you colorblind?
No, chef.
Get them in the oven!
Chef Ramsay had seen enough and summoned Scott to the pantry for a chat. When he started getting grilled, Scott boldly responded with a blunt, "Nothing." The famous chef, unimpressed, pointed out the elephant in the room.
You know it's not even cooked, it's raw, Scott! There's stone cold in the middle!
Alright, chef.
But here is where it gets wild. Scott's delusion and denial kicked in big time. Despite acknowledging that his dishes were very undercooked, he adamantly insisted on his own version of reality.
Yes, they were undercooked, but I wanted to get it out, and I didn't think they were too bad undercooked that they wouldn't be able to go out.
If only wishing for something real hard made it true, right? Anyway, things went from bad to worse when Chef Ramsay, possibly sensing trouble, asked for confirmation about the beef. Now, the team assured him that it was ready. However, when Scott sent out both beef and chicken dishes, they were embarrassingly undercooked. I feel like he was just banging his head against the wall here.
Is that the best roast chicken? And is that the best beef requested mid-rare? Touch it. I want you to touch it. Touch it. Touch it.
The chaos of overlapping explanations ensued, and the team was promptly ejected from the kitchen. The sous chefs were then left to salvage what was left of the service. Scott was undeniably responsible for a majority of the screw-ups, and even after getting eliminated, this was all he had to say.
I certainly am the best cook on the red team, but when you're working with teammates that aren't as qualified to be there as you are, it makes it hard. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to go on and continue to be a great chef.
But despite all that, the dude simply wasn't ready to own up to it. You'd think that he'd start to realize that maybe he was in the wrong after, I don't know, having his time on the show come to a fiery end? Well, wishful thinking, I guess. So, could you think of more times when chefs screwed up real bad? Make sure to drop them in the comment section down below, and if you liked my video, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on my post notifications. By the way, if you want to stay up to date with all of my content, make sure to hop on my social media pages. And if you thought that this video was a wild ride, then you have to watch the next video right here, since it's even crazier.